Thank you very much. Further debate. I recognize the Attorney General.
Well, thank you very much, Speaker. I'm very honored to stand here today and speak on Bill 127, which is the implementation bill for the budget that the government introduced, which helps us to build a stronger and healthier Ontario. Speaker, I speak today in the role that is the most important to me, and that is to represent the community of Ottawa Centre. As their member of provincial parliament, it's my honor to serve in this legislature and to speak about things that are important to my community every single day. Speaker, in simple words, I am supporting this budget because it speaks to things that are important to my community of Ottawa Centre. It speaks to things that I hear from my constituents when I go to their doors every weekend, as I just did this past Saturday, and ask them what's important to them. Time and time again, Speaker, my constituents tell me that they want their government to invest in things that are essential to them. What are those things? Our healthcare system, our education system, our infrastructure, and particularly that it helps public transit. Those are the things that my community in Ottawa Centre are very keen. And as I pour through this budget document, which, Speaker, I have done, I see a strong emphasis on investments in our healthcare system, investments in our education for our children, and investments in infrastructure such as a public transit. There are many references to things that are happening in Ottawa and things that will be coming for Ottawa, which are exciting to me personally, but are also endorsed by my constituents who live in the great community of Ottawa Centre. Speaker, I will start first with the balanced budget. I can tell you, Speaker, as I canvass in my writing, and as I did in the last election, one of the things that I did hear from my constituents on a regular basis is that they do want the provincial government to balance its books. They recognized that a deficit had to be incurred, the money had to be borrowed because of the Great Recession. There was clear recognition, and continues to be that recognition in my community, that we had to borrow money because of the devastating impact of the Great Recession, the largest recession since the Great Depression in the 1930s, and government had to be proactive in terms of stimulating the economy, and they supported that borrowing to stimulate economies, to be investing in our schools, in our hospitals, in our community centers, and our public transit. That resulted in creation of hundreds of thousands of jobs across the province. In my city of Ottawa alone, that borrowing resulted in not only keeping our hospitals and our schools to operate, in fact grow, but also significant investments in our community centers, like in Hintonburg, where we renovated the entire basement of the community center and made more spaces available, as we did in rehabilitating the Hintonburg Park, where I was just there last weekend for the Happening Ottawa festival. That park has become a huge hub for the community to come together, as we did by investing in building two new buildings, the River Building and the Canal Building at Carleton University, which is located in Ottawa Centre, which I know, Speaker, your two sons attend as well, as a fine institution. And those two buildings are just landmark or marquee buildings that were built as a result of that stimulus funding and creating better learning spaces for our young people. And I can go on with the list of investments we made. But what it resulted in was not only creating better places to live, to learn in my community of Ottawa Centre, but also it helps stimulate our economy. When you talk with many friends that I have in building trades, they are thankful of those investments because it kept them in business. It made sure that they had a good livelihood, that they were able to then reinvest in our economy, but not only them, but other professionals and other service providers in our economy as well. The down effect, the negative effect of that borrowing to stimulate the economy so that we can come out of the Great Recession is that we had a fairly significant deficit, a deficit of over $19 billion. And government some time ago said that we will balance our books by 2017-18, but we're going to do so in a prudent way. We're going to do it in a manner that it does not impact the key things that are important to our communities, healthcare and education. And by sheer hard work, commitment to commitment we made to Ontarians, and we articulated in last provincial election, Speaker, I'm very happy and proud that we are at that moment where we are able to balance our budget. We are able to balance budget because we made prudent decisions in terms of in growing our economy. We made prudent decisions in terms of the services we provide by keeping our focus on things that are important to people like healthcare and education. But also, Speaker, that investment resulted in the economy to grow, which is paying dividends because we have more people working now, more people are paying, their taxes. There's more investment that is taking place in Ontario, and this province is an amazing hub or destination to invest and to do business, and we're seeing the result of for all that in this great economy that is growing, that is outpacing the G7 countries, that outpacing other provinces in Canada. So I'm happy that my constituents kept my feet to fire on making sure that we do balance the budget, and I'm really proud to report back to my constituents in Ottawa Centre that we've accomplished that task, we've achieved that task, and we see a path where the balance will remain for next few years to come. Now let me, Speaker, move on to issues that are important that I highlight, and I'll start with investments in healthcare, which is extremely important because in the end of the day, no matter who you speak to, a young family or a retired seniors or anybody in between, they will tell you that the number one priority is a good delivery of healthcare. They want to make sure that the healthcare system is there when they need it. Speaker, we can have political differences on what we think about various initiatives in this budget, but I think in our hearts we all will agree that the introduction of OHIP plus pharmacare, a universal pharmacare program for our children and youth age under 25 for all drugs that are available as part of OHIP, is a game changer. You may think that this does not go far enough, or you may think that it gone too far. The fact of the matter is, in all frankness, that this is a game changer. We have never had this, Speaker. This is a significant step in protecting and providing universal health care in a true fashion for the most vulnerable in our society, and that is our children and our youth. And by covering all kids from 0 to 25 and under in terms of all medications is a very significant step. It's a step that we've announced and we will be taking starting January the 1st that have caught the attention of the entire country, not just in Ontario, but coast to coast to coast, including the federal government. Everybody's talking about it, and as I am out in my community since the budget was announced, this is one thing people have come up to me and said, bravo, well done, this was needed, this is important. I hope this is the beginning of ensuring that we truly have universal health care and universal pharmacare. And my response to them is, absolutely. You know what? We wanted to start somewhere. You can talk about it, and you can put a grand vision out, which is important, but we wanted to take a practical step, and we have taken that step. And we decided that our priority is going to be children and youth to start with, and hopefully by working with other partners in this legislature, by working with federal government, we may be able to expand it to everyone. But let's start somewhere, and the fact that we're doing the OHIP plus pharmacare is remarkable. Maybe I'm speaking as a parent of two very young children, I am, Speaker, quite excited about it, and I continue to hear positive feedback. People ask me, is it really true that it will be available January 1st, 2018? Absolutely. Is it really true that there's going to be no hidden cost? Absolutely. Is it really true that there is going to be no co-payments or no deductible? Absolutely true. In fact, some of the smaller businesses have come to me who look after their employees and have health insurance plans. They're excited because they see some savings coming their way, because now they would have to pay hopefully fewer premiums as a result. The benefit goes on and on. In many instances, in fact, some small businesses told me they don't cover everything in their health plans for their employees' children, or there is a significant deductible that assists their workforce and makes their workforce even that much stronger and healthier to be able to help build our economy. Speaker, the other important aspect from my view is investment in our hospitals. I was with my colleagues from Ottawa at the Ottawa Heart Institute, which is located in my riding of Ottawa Centre, announcing that we will be investing $35.9 million per year for our Ottawa hospitals. We have the Ottawa Hospital, the Heart Institute, Bruyere Continuing Care, which is also located in my riding. We have the Hôpital Montfort. Of course, we have the Children's Hospital of Eastern Ontario, CHEO, and Queensway Carleton Hospitals. All those partners were present. They see this investment as a very important investment, anywhere from 2% to 3%. Increase funding in the base operating funds that will result in them reducing their wait list and be able to provide improved services to our residents in Ottawa. Very important aspect of this. Speaker, I've also heard from my community health sectors. I got an email both from the Executive Director of the Centretown Community Health Centre, Simon Thibault, and the Executive Director of the Somerset West Community Health Centre, Nini Cloutier. Both these community health centres are located in my riding. Both are saying bravo on OHIP plus farmer care, on investments that we have for community health sector and for allied workers that will see an increase in compensation. They both wrote unsolicited emails to me saying that the government is taking the right direction. I want to thank them for the great work they do along with their staff in providing essential, important services to our constituents. Speaker, I want to move towards education. Again, very important aspect of building our economy and making sure that our children has the base, the great foundation in place. We are very lucky, Speaker, to live in Ontario, where we have one of the best education system in the world, and I will make that claim because that claim is true, Speaker. Every rankings we see around the world continues to PISA comes to mind, continues to demonstrate how well we do in Ontario. I think we should be excited about that. That we compete at a global scale when it comes to our public education system. We have a great foundation to continue to build from kindergarten all the way to PhD, Speaker, because our greatest assets, our natural resource in this province, and I've said this before, is our talent, is our people, and the best way to nourish that and to build that is to invest in education. So when I see that in our school system, we are investing an additional $1 billion, almost $1 billion to base funding for our schools, even though enrollment numbers are down, is heartwarming. I mean, for the first time, per pupil funding has now topped $12,000 per pupil. How incredible is that, Speaker? I see my 5-year-old son, Rafi, who goes to junior kindergarten, and the kind of care and education he's getting and the excitement that I see him. He goes to a local school at St. Augustine, is just amazing. And I'm just one parent. I was just with him at the muffin breakfast party at the school last Friday, and all parents were just absolutely thrilled with the kind of education they're getting in our education system. I'm really excited that we are capping full-day kindergarten. Maybe I'm a little selfish because my son is in full-day kindergarten. I think that is a very important move. The fact that we will be capping enrollment for grades 4 to 8 is a very progressive move. You know, we continues to make these very important investments that matters to parents, that matters to our children. I can go on and on childcare and the investments in building new childcare, 24,000 spaces just this year across the province. Many of them are going to be Ottawa, and making sure that those places are accessible and affordable by way of subsidies is also just incredible investments. And that speaks to the theme of building a stronger, healthier Ontario. It really speaks to we're investing where it matters the most, which is our children and our youth. Similar investment we're seeing in our post-secondary institution. I think one cannot undermine the new OSAP and what it really means when it comes to giving an opportunity for young people who come from low-income background. They should have the same opportunity to succeed. There should be no discrimination in our system whatsoever. Just because you come from a well-to-do family, yeah, you get to go to university or college, but if you come from low income, sorry, you may be able to do well, but because you can't pay, you can't afford that. Well, Speaker, that's not the kind of society that we have signed on to. If you look at reports like the Anti-Poverty Reduction Report or the Pascal report on full-day learning, or if you look at the Roots of Violence report that was done, it all talks about breaking the cycle of poverty. It focuses so much on initiatives that governments can take to say that those who are poor should not be subjected to poverty, that we need to ensure that we break that cycle. And there is no better way, Speaker, to break that cycle of poverty but by investing in education, by creating that level playing field and giving that opportunity to those kids who come from low-income families and to say, you know what? You can go to school as well. You can go to college or university as well and get the same education and be the first one in your family to do so and build a better life, because we know studies after studies after studies have shown that when one child goes to post-secondary education to college, university, most likely their children will do the same thing, and you start turning their fate. So that's what we're doing with the new OSAP. We're creating that exact opportunity to create. So I think it's exciting. I continue to meet with people like Cheryl Jensen, who's the president of Algonquin College, and she keeps telling me how exciting this is. Or my president, Dr. Roseanne O'Reilly Runte at Carleton University, who will be retiring, leaving Carleton soon to go to another exciting job, and we wish her best of luck in that. How exciting that proposition is. I actually had a meeting with a child and youth counselor, Speaker from CHIO, Gilles Charon, and we were talking about the kind of services provided, and we start talking about this change. He said, I knew a little bit about it, but not in detail. And right away, he started identifying students that he knows, or young people he's working who just starting to make change around from homelessness and from some mental health issues, addiction issues they'll be dealing with, and they can take a course or two at Algonquin or La Cité or maybe at Carleton University or University of Ottawa, but they may not be able to afford to do so. And all of a sudden he said, this is the kind of thing that through the OSAP program, they will be able to do so. Imagine, Speaker, the opportunity that we can give to those young people, which is part of this budget, and a commitment from this government starting this September will be available. Speaker, the last thing I want to talk about, and there's so much that I can discuss, is investment in our infrastructure, be it building new hospitals like we're doing by building a whole new extension over $200 million with the University of Ottawa Heart Institute, which is a global institution, does incredible research and provide the most incredible cardiac care. That construction of a new tower is ongoing, should be actually open by April of 2018, as I was just recently informed. That's brand new surgery room, state of the art. That is amazing for not only for Ottawa but all the surrounding communities in Ottawa, the Valley, the eastern part of Ontario. Those are important services. Or as we saw in education, Speaker, investments in building a brand new school, the Broadview Public School in my community of Westboro. Beautiful new school, replaced an old school from 1927 in a downtown urban community. You can see the vibrancy that has come back in that school and the programming that they're offering in that school. Those are important infrastructure investments, and we see once again a very strong commitment on part of the provincial government as part of this stronger, healthier Ontario budget, a balanced budget, Speaker, that will continue with those important investments. The one investment that is close to my heart is investment in our light rail system in Ottawa. We know that Confederation Line is on time and on budget, Speaker, and province invested $600 million. It builds the spine right in my community of Ottawa Centre to the downtown core. We have it has a subway part in the downtown core, but the government has also committed, and is referenced in this budget, which I fully endorse, investment, over $1 billion investment in the second phase of LRT as well, that will go further east all the way to Trim Road in Ottawa Orleans, further south to the Ottawa Airport in Ottawa South, and further south in Nepean Carlton, and then goes west in Ottawa West Nepean, Speaker. And we really start to see an incredible LRT system, and the government, Ontario government, has committed over $1 billion for that important infrastructure, because not only it will help create jobs, but it really links our city to our universities, to our colleges, to our downtown, the new innovation center that the province invested $15 million, and our airport to the downtown. You really start to see how that not is only going to improve our quality of life, but also going to enhance our economy. Speaker, this budget, from my perspective, is a good budget for Ottawa, and I will be supporting this for all the reasons that I outlined, and I hope other members do the same. Thank you very much.